Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming today. My name's Eric Kalivoda. I'm the Secretary of the Department of Transportation and Development, and good morning to you, and thank you for coming to this unique event where we are brought together to celebrate a major accomplishment and to recognize that we're not done yet and we still have more development to do, and we're looking forward to proceeding with that as well. The project we're here to celebrate is the widening of I-12, as everybody's well aware, and it has great significance to this area and to the state and to the nation, for that matter, as it's critical to the economy of our country. We also developed this through a partnership between the state and the parish. Local leaders were integral to this process, to getting these two sections of I-12 widened. And it's done now, and it looks great. We all drove through it this morning, or at least most of us did, to get here. And before I get started any further, I just want to make sure we give our gratitude to the Church of the King for hosting this event today and allowing us to use their facility here, and to St. Tammany Parish government for its assistance in coordinating this event. And we're great to have our elected officials here today. Governor Edwards is here. Senator McMath is here, Parish President Mike Cooper is here, and I hope that I've gotten everybody. Are there any other elected officials present? So, okay, great. And I want to recognize some of our district staff as well. We've got our district administrator, Dalton Williams, is here. On the end next to Senator McMath. Our area engineer, Lacey McCaskill's here. Our legislative liaison, Bo Black, is here. Our communications director, Rodney Mallett, standing in the back there. Our public information officer, Daniel Gitland, is here, and we have two of our district staff here. Cody Russell and Julian Maryland are both here, and they helped set up the tent and everything, got the refreshments and all that, so we're very grateful for that. I'll just give a little bit of introduction to our first speaker, which will be Governor Edwards. And let me just give you a little bit of background on him. On January 11th, 2016, John Bel Edwards was sworn in as the 56th governor of Louisiana. In 2019, he was re-elected to a second term. And Governor Edwards grew up not far from here in Tangipahoa Parish in the town of Amite City. I think I've got that right. He finished at the top of his class in Amite High School and before attending the U.S. Military Academy at West Point. After graduating, he served our country for 8 years law practice in the town of Amite City. He entered political office in 2008 as the state representative from District 62. And throughout his political tenure, he has always tried to do what the people elected him to do, and that's put Louisiana first. And if I can just go off script for a minute, Governor Edwards has been extremely supportive of infrastructure across this state. All the governors I've worked under, they all give lip service to how important infrastructure is. Governor John Bel Edwards has put his words into action, and I think history will record him as Louisiana's infrastructure governor. So it is my honor and privilege to introduce to you Governor John Bel Edwards.
Here. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for being here. And we are thankful to the church for letting us gather here, and we're thankful to God for the opportunity and the rain we got last night. Because we certainly need it here, and we need it elsewhere in Louisiana as well. As Eric said this morning, and I'm these projects. That groundbreaking ceremony was kind of surreal. October of 2020, we were several months into COVID, not knowing whether the worst was behind us or yet to come. It was actually yet to come. We had just had two major hurricanes in southwest Louisiana. And it was a challenging time, to say the least. But when you work in partnership with local government and the federal government, and when you bring people together, things are possible. So I want to start by thanking Eric and all the people at DOTD, and he just mentioned a number of them, but there are so many more who work hard every day advancing infrastructure across the state of Louisiana. I thank them. I thank the local officials here in St. Tammany Parish. Mr. President, thank you for your partnership. Senator McMath, thank you. He's not just the senator for this area. He happens to be the chairman of the Senate Transportation Committee. So he has a special perch from which he can not only just see what's happening, but actually help in directing resources and trying to figure out what the priorities are. And then, of course, you do this with the private sector, because the fact of the matter is we don't really build roads anymore as a state. But to have J.B. James Construction and James Construction, both, to do these phases, I think has been very significant, and want to thank them as well. Y'all know the I-12 corridor needed to be expanded, needed to be widened. It's one of the most congested parts of this interstate system, the 1012 system that runs from Los Angeles, California to Jacksonville, Florida. And it's one of the most congested, and that congestion leads to a lot of delays, but it also negatively affects the economy, and it adversely affects quality of life, because we all have something better to do than to sit in traffic. So for all of those reasons and more, we knew we needed to invest in this corridor. To give you an idea of the traffic count, in the last 15 years, the daily average traffic went from about 60,000 vehicles to 90,000. And over the next 15 years, the modeling suggests that we're going to have at least that much growth yet again. And so you have to have an infrastructure system that can accommodate those vehicles, and that's what this work was all about. And it did take partnership and working together and trying to figure out where we would get the funding from. We're investing more money than ever in our infrastructure system, but this work was actually started before the Infrastructure Investment Jobs Act was done. And so we got a head start here, and we've cobbled together funding from different sources, federal and local, in order to make this happen. And I just want to thank everybody for that work. And then not only have we completed the first two phases, but we've actually started the work, issued the contract. We have the money in hand for the third phase. And so all three phases are going to be done by 2025, and I know that that'll be a great day when that third phase is done. So we needed to secure money for this work. The biggest pots of money came from redistribution dollars. I'll talk about that in just a second, and then a bill grant for $25 million that St. Tammany Parish worked with the federal government to get. So thank you all for that. And I do want to pause for just a moment and recognize someone who's not here with us, and that's Congressman Steve Scalise. He was here 3 years ago as we kicked this thing off, but he worked really hard to help us make sure that we got the build grant for $25 million that helped get this done. So the redistributed dollars, $43 million were committed to this project. And I say redistributed dollars, a lot of times people don't know what that is. So each year, the United States Department of Transportation sends out Transportation Trust Fund dollars to states so that they can do work in their states. Sometimes the states send money back because they don't have the shovel-ready projects, or maybe on occasion they don't have the match necessary to keep those dollars. And then other states, if they're properly positioned, can intercept the dollars going back to the federal government and spend them in their states. We have been extremely aggressive in Louisiana about going after those redistribution dollars. I can tell you that over half, way over half of all the redistributed dollars that our state has ever gotten from the federal government have come in my administration. And what you have to do is you have to have the shovel-ready projects. You have to expend it all, or at least obligated all the money that you have gotten in your allocation, and then you have to have the match ready to go. And when you put those three things together, you're in a position to grab those dollars. And we've done that I think, Eric, you told me most recently $211 million in the most recent year, 100 and something million dollars before that. And so we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars invested in Louisiana that was initially supposed to go to some other state. But if you have if you make sure that you have the resources and you're committed to these purpose, you're able to secure those funds. And that was the lion's share of the Phase 1 funding. That was $43 million of the $54 million. The Bill grant, the biggest part of the second phase. And so I'm excited about this work. It shows us what we can do when we work together, when we really all have the same priorities and we're willing to contribute to making those priorities a reality. And the three-phase project altogether, including the phase that has started but is obviously not yet complete, just over 10 miles at $169.8 million invested right here in St. Tammany Parish to meet the current needs but also the future needs of this community. But it's a lot more than just this community that drives on I-12 every day, as y'all know. And so I think it's a perfect example that we strengthen what exists and create, when needed, additional capacity to meet the needs of not just today, but also the future. I did want to mention that in St. Tammany Parish alone, since 2016, when I became governor, there have been 76 improvement projects, 339 miles involved, and the investment $430 million in St. Tammany Parish. And we're not just overlaying roads, we're connecting communities. We are improving safety, we're improving the economy, and all of that is important, but we're also improving the quality of life. So with that, I think I'm going to stop after I just say again how much I appreciate the partnership, the local officials here, the legislature, for working with us. And you know, you always hear football coaches and other coaches after a big win, they say, you know, we're gonna celebrate this today and we're gonna get right back to work tomorrow because there's another game we got to win. That's really how we have to look at infrastructure too, because we're never going to be done. You're never going to, you know, spike the ball in the end zone, to use another sports analogy, and say mission accomplished. There's always more work to be done. That's the nature of this, but we have more resources available, and we have more resources being invested in transportation infrastructure, roads, bridges, highways, airports, ports, you name it, broadband, than ever in the history of our state. And we are really working hard to be good partners with local government, which is why of the $1 billion extra on the bridge program from the bipartisan infrastructure law, we have carved out $300 million for local off-system bridges. And we're going to let local government tell us which bridges they need most repaired or replaced, and that's what's going to happen. And over the 5 years, we will do way more bridges than we would have done otherwise without that funding, but we're trying to be really good partners. So I'd say that just so you all know that's been the thrust of our administrations, both under Sean Wilson, who was really aggressive in going after the dollars that we could, whether it was reallocation or whatever, and now under Eric Kalivoda. So I thank both of them. So with that, I want to thank you all for showing up. Again, we've got a lot of work to do. I know that I think I'm 4 months from today leaving office. I will work hard every single day between now and then. You won't have to worry about where I'm at or what I'm doing, because my goal and the goal of all of us, and I know it's your goal and Senator McMath, yours as well, is to leave things better than you found them. I have no doubt that we're going to do that when I leave office on January the 8th, because of the work of people at state level and the local level. Thank you all so much, and God bless.
It's an honor to be here with the good folks of DOTD and our local officials as well. I can remember, you know, this stretch of interstate obviously it plays a daily role in our lives and over here in West St. Tammany Parish. And I remember several years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, there was a terrible accident. I was a city councilman in Covington at the time, and President Cooper at the time was the mayor of Covington, and there was just a horrendous accident. There was loss of life, and then Parish President Pat Brister, the late Parish President Pat Brister, called me up. She reached out to Mayor Cooper at the time and said we need to do something about this. And so I want to recognize the late Parish President Pat Brister for really spearheading the kickstart of this project several years ago with the help of Senator Sharon Hewitt, officials for really organizing the team effort that got the first federal grant to kickstart this 3-phase project. And so if we can all just remember the late Parish President Pat Brister for a moment. Thank you. I have to, I'm going to be real brief here. I just got to thank a number of folks that have been involved with this project who are not here. Sean Wilson, former Secretary of DOTD, who has done tremendous good for the state in terms of his ability in leading the Department of Transportation. So I want to thank him as well. Current Secretary Eric Kalivoda, appreciate again those kind remarks, and I know we haven't had much time to work that closely together, but the time that we have has been one of cooperation, and I appreciate that. Obviously, Governor Edwards, we've not agreed on every issue, but we've always agreed on infrastructure investment, and I think you're seeing today the fruits of your leadership in that arena, and I want to thank you for really prioritizing Louisiana's infrastructure. And investment in infrastructure, as you know, is an investment in our economy and our quality of life. This project is a prime example of teamwork, everyone coming together and really seeing a significant improvement in the daily lives of our residents and the folks that travel this interstate system on a daily basis. President Cooper, you have also been one to prioritize infrastructure, and I greatly appreciate that. And I know that he couldn't be here today, but I want to thank Representative Mark Wright, who chairs the House Committee on Transportation. We've always tried to work together and pull in one team, as the governor has said, and we cannot do it without you guys, both on the 4th floor and at DOTD, and I hope that we've provided some assistance as well in the legislature. And finally, I need to thank President Cortez, who's obviously couldn't be here today, but I remember getting the phone call that the money for the 2nd phase had been allocated, and I asked him, actually Secretary Wilson at the time, when do we think that this project's going to get, that the 2nd phase is going to be completed? And he said probably around, shooting for July of 23. And I said, well, that's right before qualifying, so I appreciate the help. No, listen, I do miss getting the complaints. When I became chairman of transportation, I was very excited. I'm a freshman, I really have. It's kind of rare to become a chairman in your freshman term, but transportation and infrastructure was very important to me. So as soon as I took over my office, started receiving phone calls on a daily basis about how bad the traffic was, and the person who called the most was my wife, and so she no longer calls to complain about traffic. I can promise you this project was a tremendous success, and so I appreciate you guys making it easier on the home life as well as for our constituents in St. Tammany Parish. So with that, thank you very much. Thank you.
What a beautiful morning here at Highway 59 and I-12 for this announcement or acknowledgement for the completion of the first 2 phases and the kickstart of the 3rd phase from Highway 21 going west to Highway 1077. Thank you, Governor Edwards, again, Senator McMath. I too want to thank Representative Mark Wright, another former councilman who served with Patrick and I as I served as mayor of Covington, and all of our North Shore delegation who's been a part of getting these projects together. I also want to acknowledge our close working relationship with DOTD at the state level, at District 62 level, formerly with the other district administrators, and now District 62 Administrator Dalton Williams. We have a close working relationship with them. And just like Governor Edwards wants to be acknowledged and will be acknowledged, obviously, as the infrastructure governor, and I know Senator McMath, a big part of his legacy, not that you're going anywhere, will be the infrastructure senator, bringing back important dollars to our parish. And I too, based on what we've done locally, investing more and more of our local dollars, our sales tax revenue that's dedicated to infrastructure, the capital outlay that we're receiving from Baton Rouge, and even the federal money, it's allowing us to do projects like I-12, local state highways, Highway 190, Highway 1077, and Highway 1088 and others. So we are heavily invested in making our highways safer and available to our citizens. This important project is providing safety and ease of traffic throughout St. Tammany Parish, not just because we're saying it, and not just because Jane is relating to you, but because we read on Facebook how when these two phases opened, how much easier it is. So it has made a difference to those who travel through St. Tammany Parish, including our local citizens. But we thank you for the investment that you've made here, and we look forward to future projects. We'll continue to do investments in our infrastructure for the benefit of our citizens. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Tyler. All right. So we're going to count of three. 3, 2, 1. Perfect. There we go. Congratulations. All right.
I-12 is, as the governor mentioned, is part of the I-10, I-12 corridor. That's the cross-country corridor from the Pacific Ocean to the Atlantic Ocean. And that is key to the commerce, not only in this local area, but to the state of Louisiana and to the whole country. You know, there's a lot of truck traffic on there. That's how the nation moves its goods and services. And so it's key that it's very important that we keep that, corridor flowing efficiently and safely. Residents as well, commuters that are trying to get to and from work and other activities that they do, it's obviously very critical to them too. And anybody that's driven on 12 frequently, sometimes you find yourself surrounded by trucks, and that's not a very comfortable feeling. And if we have more lanes on there, the traffic can spread out better, and you can get in the center lane, not be in the fast lane, not be in the lane that has all the entering and exiting traffic, and it's a much more comfortable ride. And so we're going to continue to expand 12 into the future because it's going to North Shore is going to continue to grow. That's what all of our forecasts show. And so we're going to need continued investment in I-12 and other infrastructure, but I-12 is one of the key corridors.